Chris and Mads, sisters who love a good story.
The only thing better than experiencing a good story is talking about it.
We're here for the unfiltered, unhinged conversations with fellow story lovers and storytellers.
And the occasional rant or rave about the shit that rips our hearts out and puts us back together again.
The stuff that makes us laugh till we pee our pants.
And the ones that teach us what it is to be human. Welcome to the sisterhood.
Welcome to the show, you guys. Today we have our friend Michael Kist from, is it Kist Reads Books?
That's correct. Yep.
On TikTok, he's also on Instagram, he's also on YouTube, he's everywhere. He's a full-time content creator and one of our favorite bookish friends on the internet. He's got the best recs, he reads quite a variety, and he's here today to talk to us all about going full-time content creator, which we also did this year. So it's going to be really fun to just hash out the ups and downs of that. Thanks so much for coming, Michael. How are you today?
I'm doing well. I'm excited for this talk because we really haven't talked about this topic in depth like we have some other topics, and I'm excited to see if you guys are coming across the same frustrations, surprises, good or bad, along the way. So this is going to be fun.
Yeah, if we haven't really you're right, we haven't talked about it at all offline, so it's going to be really fun to just get into it. But to start, not that we really need an icebreaker with you, but we just love to hear what your truths and lies are and see if we can figure you out. So do you have two truths and a lie?
I do. Okay. So 2 truths and a lie. Let's go with number one. Number 1, I've worked in publishing. Number 2, I've never traveled abroad. Number 3, I've been kidnapped.
Whoa, that slowly escalated very quickly. What? There's no way you've been kidnapped. Well, actually, you could probably fight your way out of that, Mr. Guns. I don't know. What do you think, Maddie? I do think it'd be very hard to kidnap Michael. I certainly would not attempt it. His face does not give, you want to fuck with me? If right. You don't want to fuck with me. But I also am has he never traveled abroad? That would be a crazy accolade if you hadn't, especially being a history buff like you. That would just kind of blow my mind. I don't know.
And publishing, I'm something's telling me that he has worked in publishing, but I don't know where.
There's no way he's been kidnapped. Unless he has some twisted way of acting like his wife kidnapped him. I just want to hear the story if you were. So we're going to go with that. That your lie is that you were kidnapped.
That is actually a truth.
Stop it! No! Okay, how traumatic is this story? Because I want all of the details.
If you want all of it, then we can go through it. It's going to divert the conversation in the beginning here, but I can tie this into reading in my favorite book.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay. So, all right, my parents married early 80s in Pennsylvania. They've got this they're mainlining the middle class, rural Pennsylvania American dream, right? He owns a lawn company. She owns a tanning salon that actually burned down, but she's got the claim on it. She works in accounting. They're going to figure it out. So she gets pregnant with my sister, who is 3 years older than me. So they've got this idyllic life and whatever. And my dad goes to her one day and he says, okay, it's time to come clean. This is what's going on. My lawn business is a front. I am the ringleader of an insurance scam ring, insurance fraud ring, all down the East Coast. I've got a small group of people that work with me. This is what I do because he used to work as an insurance claims adjuster. He would investigate these cases. He learned all about them, and then he turned it into.
Oh my God!
And he does this across all these states because back then, right? It's before the internet, and there's all these smaller insurance companies and whatnot. They don't communicate with each other. So he just runs the same scam all the way down the state and whatnot. So this is how he makes his money. So he comes clean to my mother with this after she's pregnant. Now, I want to pause there for a second because both of you are married and you have kids. How does that shatter your world if your partner were to come say that to you?
Oh my! I'd say peace out, Girl Scout. Enjoy the single life. Oh my God!
Wow.
This is that show
Breaking
Ozark.
Bad.
I was gonna say Ozark, but yeah, okay.
But also Breaking Bad.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Continue. You left us on a cliffhanger. Continue.
Then he tells her, "Hey, remember that tanning salon that burned down? That was me. I did that."
Oh my
your signatures are all over the claims. So if you try to get out of this, if you try to tell people about this, if this goes south for me, you're in on it. So now she's essentially in a marriage that is she's
roped in.
She's married to her blackmailer, which is like a story that you would like a title for a smutty book that you would see on Book Talk.
Right. Maybe it was a kink for your mom, but I mean.
Right.
Okay, Maddie, let's not get to his mother's kinks. Let's leave that out. We're not going to get into that convo.
I'm sorry.
You took that too far.
Please continue.
Let the man speak.
So let's fast forward. They separate 10 years later, right? She gets an apartment. She gets custody. He has visitations. She says, just take the house. I just want out of this kind of deal. I'm not going to, we're not going to tell anybody about what's going on, but just like, you're going to get caught eventually, but just like, I need out of this, right? So I'm staying with her. 5th grade, last day of school. This is all prearranged. He comes to pick me up to go on a tour of all the baseball parks in America during the summer. Sounds great. I'm all packed up, ready to go. He doesn't take me to the house. He takes me to his friend's house on the beach. He's like out of town or whatever. He says, we're going to hang out here for a few days. We're going to hang out by the beach, and then we're going to book it around the States, right? Goes to a payphone, calls my mother, says, I have Michael. You don't know where we are. If you don't comply with everything I'm demanding in the divorce settlement, money, so on and so forth, you're never going to see him again. We just went and got passports. So now essentially he's holding me here in this house, and my mother's freaking out. She calls the police.
Oh my God. Did you know?
I had no idea.
Oh
I had no idea. I'm like 11.
You were going to see baseball fields.
Oh
like,
my
what
God,
the
that
hell?
So fucked up.
So my mother contacts the police, so on and so forth, and she thinks, okay, his name is Jack. Where would Jack be? Where would he honestly go if he's still local? Well, he loves the beach. He would be on the beach somewhere. So she starts driving up and down this long beach every day, till finally she comes across his red truck. And it's at his friend's house, who she knows is an associate of his, who's just out of town or whatever. So,
oh my God.
Cops come, they knock on the door. My dad's like, hey, let's go take a walk. So we go out the back towards the beach. And as we go out the back, Detective Hubbard comes around. Hubbard was very involved in this. Detective Hubbard comes around and goes, hey, how you doing? And he's trying to keep it light because he doesn't know that if he might, freak out. He's got an 11-year-old kid with him, whatnot. He's got to play this smart. He can't be aggressive with it. So he's like, hey, where are you going? He's like, oh, I'm just taking my son for a walk. He's like, oh, you on a little vacation? And my dad's like, well, I think we're going to go back inside. So he goes back inside. Anyway, they eventually negotiate something. He comes out. He never gets charged with anything because of the way that the visitation laws were put out and so on and so forth. Never gets charged with anything because they can't prove anything on the phone calls or anything like that. Now, a year later, he goes to jail on a RICO. He gets busted. My mother has to turn state's evidence against him because of the whole tanning salon thing.
Oh my God.
That's a whole freaking thing, right? There is a RICO for like gangsters. That's 15 years, hard time, prison style. So that's the kidnapping part of it. Now, how I'm tying in this with reading is my favorite book of all time is The Road by Cormac McCarthy. And that's where a father and his son are traveling this dystopian wasteland. And it's kind of like this thing of where, like, as a father, as a parent, how far do you go to protect your child? Right? You're surrounded by all of this darkness. You're trying to carry the flame. There are very few people in this world. The bad guys have won. There's just nasty stuff all around you. And what lengths do you go to protect your son? And when I read that, I had just become a new father. And I actually skipped a lot of stuff from my childhood there just for brevity. But that book, and I was not ready to be a father when I was a father very young. I was a mess personally. And one of the lines is like, if his is not the word of God, then God never spoke. And I am not a religious person, but that's exactly how I felt about my son. He came at a time where I really needed him to come along, even though I wasn't ready for him. He saved me from the path that I was going on. And I connected with this book so deeply. And by the end, I'm just like ugly crying, sobbing, like so on and so forth. And this is why, like, when we talk about, like, when we put ourselves into the books we read, and we never have the same experiences. Like, when we're reading books, we never cross the same river. And we also never cross the same river twice. We're different people when we read it the second time. And that, for me, someone else can read it and have a totally different experience, but I connected so deeply with it. And I think that's the power of that medium. I think more than any other medium, whether it be like, I can get emotional during a film. I just shed some tears over that Wild Robot film that just came out,
Yeah.
watching it with my kids. It was so emotional. I'll get emotional over music. I'll get emotional over TV, but books for some reason that medium has this ability to just like tap into my brain and connect with me in such a way. So all of those experiences from my childhood, and putting that into the timing of having my son and whatnot, and then reading that book, it was the most beautiful book that I could have ever read at any point in my life. It was perfect. So that is my two truths and a lie, and my connection with reading.
That's
So we're starting out hot.
incredible. Yes. I love this story so much because I've only ever read, stories that are that outlandish, but
That was your real life.
that was your real life. And I'm like, where did these authors get it from? This shit has to happen in real life. Obviously. Oh my gosh.
But
I hope
I'm
you've had a
just-
shit ton of therapy. Oh my God.
But also, I am like in awe of your mother, because
Yeah.
good for her for getting out, and then like her presence of mind under that much stress to just drive the beat, to like put herself in his head, drive the beach like patiently day after day,
Yeah.
where she's falling apart, probably so stressed.
Yeah.
And like that was a very logical woman who was just like, what can I do in this
Ooh.
hopeless situation?
She's like the OG Masaki is what she
Yeah.
is.
Yeah,
That's what
there you
she
go.
is. Oh my gosh, I love her.
She is such a strong woman, and the interesting thing about her too is like her being wrapped up in all this is like her biggest nightmare, because she is the most law-abiding citizen that you could ever imagine. Like, she's never even got a speeding ticket because like she would never go fast enough to get one. So like to be wrapped up in that, and then just go, okay, how do I got to stay in this. I got to make it the best for the kids that I can. Like, it's that very 80s mindset where like marriage is sacrosanct, and she's already trapped in this thing. But yeah, she's incredible woman. Love her to death.
Wow.
She was amazing.
Damn, I love her already.
I feel like everything comes back to sort of Kaigen for Kristen and I, but
Yeah, right.
your mother is a second coming of Masaki. This is just how we feel. Well, we would love to chat and pick your brain about going full-time content creator. So can you walk us through kind of just your mindset leading up to that decision, and just how you felt about it? Was it something you were really ready to do and working towards, or was it something that kind of just happened and you decided to take the leap of faith? Or like what's your mindset? What were your feelings about it?
Yeah, so I was working in sports media for quite a while. Was public facing at first, covering the Eagles for about 4 years. My main co-host was Benjamin Solak, who is now at ESPN. He's amazing. That really took off, surprisingly. We did like 21 million downloads over like 3 years together. Then I was promoted to executive producer to oversee all of SB Nation's audio video efforts. And we were an umbrella company of Vox Media, but it always felt like SB Nation existed for Vox Media to reap the profits from it, never put anything back into it after a period of time. Mm-hmm. So it got to a point where everything was just status quo. I knew that I was never going to get new projects. They were just drinking the milkshake of SB Nation, and that's still going on today. There was a round of 5 layoffs that I survived. During that time, SB Nation was hit hard by those. And finally, when the day came that I was laid off, I was ready for it. I was ready for something new. I felt creatively stifled. So at the end of that time with SB Nation, that's when I started doing book content. Because I was a heavy reader. I said, okay, I'm doing all this reading now, and I just want somebody to talk to about it. I'm like, let me F around with this book content and see if there's anything there. And the history stuff is really what put me on the map. But I thought, okay, let me just start cross-posting on Instagram, because that's the easiest A to B. It's not much of an extra lift. We just start on that platform. And then I started getting brand partnership deals with Audible. I'm starting to work with authors. And I get this new job with another company in sports media, but I quickly realized, like, my side gig is outpacing my normal gig in terms of the revenue. And like, maybe this is like kind of what I want to do now. So I start this gig, and I'm about 4 months in and whatnot, and things are rocky in the sports media landscape. So they present everybody with a voluntary separation agreement, essentially saying, if you accept this, you voluntarily leave the company, and you get, X amount of severance along with it.
Okay.
I talked with the wife. I let her know this is going on. It was a gamble either way, but she was like, just you just do it. You know you want to do it. If you want to do it, I support you. I supported you when you wanted to switch to sports media. You haven't led me wrong before. And we'll just do whatever we need to do to buckle down in the meantime and figure it out. There are ways we can make this work. But it was a lot of money to walk away from, but I felt really good about it. I felt like this is the time in my life where it's like, this is a hinge point. It's fork in the road. I need to make a decision. I'm really happy doing this. Creatively, this allows me to just do whatever the hell I want to do. If it's a video with me with a sock puppet, I can freaking do it. If it's creating like this whole different type of YouTube channel and I want to do a video a certain way, I have the creative freedom to do that. And I think that was really important for me in this time of my life after having been stifled in that regard for so freaking long. I'll do whatever it takes to support my family and make sure that they're all ready to go. So I'm going into it eyes wide open, knowing that you can struggle for a bit, but I want to make it work. So I'm dedicated to making it work. So that's my long-winded tale and how I got into full-time book content.
Amazing. And you had your woman at your back. She's
That's right.
The third coming of Misaki.
That's right.
So that's really cool that you guys can support each other in that. But it is interesting how people will say something like a leap of faith or like, you know, I'm going into this, we're not sure, but like nothing in life is sure, right? So actually every day we're making decisions where we're rolling the dice. Every time we get in our car to go somewhere, we don't know we're going to get there safely. But something about careers and even life partners, there's certain decisions that I think people really struggle with feeling that faith piece. But I mean, there's a lot of people content creating. When I go on any like YouTube, Book Talk, Instagram, I'm like, there's a lot of people making it. Like, this isn't rare anymore. There's a lot of people who do this full time. Like,
so it doesn't feel like a big risk to you.
Yeah, I feel like the risk has gotten smaller and smaller the more I see how wide. Like the fact that you do history books. Like some people don't even know that there's a whole section, a whole corner of the internet that wants to talk about history books.
I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad that you have that niche and you're so perfect in that.
I'll give an example because this is not just in the book space. This is, like I said, this is in the sports media space too. I knew a guy that I talked with. He actually came to my company several years ago. He's a former NFL Network producer. He comes to SB Nation and he says, I'll give you the rights to my channel for $50,000 a year. I'll do what I'm doing now. I just want a steady gig, right? SB Nation says no. They're not interested. What? Today, his YouTube channel is valued at $8 million. He can sell that whenever he wants now. And it's all because SB Nation said no to a $50,000 deal that would have completely changed his course. So he was a big factor in me making the decision too. It's all over the different spaces. And like I said, that's where things are going. Legacy media is going away. So there is a risk inherently, especially in sports media, for me to say, I'll just go get another sports media job that I might be laid off from in 6 months. I can't lay myself off from book content. I can just suck at it. You know what I mean?
Right. So. Did you have any fear, because this is your passion, that making it your job would kind of kill some of the joy of it, or not? Yeah,
I do think there is some of that. And I see where kind of I went with in sports media, covering football, doing it passionately, watching film 40 hours a week, working 70 hours a week, burning myself out several times. And just like it kind of altered the way that I enjoy football. I think there's the possibility of that. But I also think there's like different ways that you can kind of like change that up. I think there is a separate, I don't think people realize, okay, you do book content full time, you must be reading 8 hours a day. It's not the case. I read about the same as I was before. And now my job is just like, I don't view reading and content creation the same. They're two different beasts of the same animal. So there is some separation there. And I think one of the reasons that I burnt out a bit in sports media, I think I really hated the way that we talk about sports in general, how fans interact with sports. People make their local sports team quarterback their whole personality, and they will spend day after day after day on the internet defending this person with total bias. And that, I think, really burned me out of that conversation. I hated it. I don't hate the way that discourse happens in the book space. Yeah, you get comments like weird comments every now and then, but I think it's such a healthier, there's more relationship building, there's more bonding over things that we love in this space. So that social friction that happens when everybody's just nasty on the internet is very much softened on the book content side of things. And either way, like if I'm tired of interacting with people on the internet, I just won't post for a couple of days and I'll just go read in my bubble. And that's an escape for me. And it's always been an escape for me to just like chill my mind. Sports is very and books are very chill. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it ruins it for me. As long as you're talking about it, I think as long as you're being true to yourself and you're talking about it in a way that you want to talk about it, I don't think it gets old. I think once you start to try to change the way you produce content to take advantage of all the algorithms and you eventually change yourself, I think that is when you can start to kind of like get burnout on it, because it's just not authentic, and you can feel it. Your audience can certainly feel it after a while. So yeah, I don't know if that's a direct answer, but that's kind of like how I'm thinking about it in my head in terms of like, no, I think I can keep this going for a long time.
Your background, I think, is a huge asset to you in this because you've already experienced making a passion your profession and you've already navigated the ups and downs of it. So you are coming at doing the exact same thing with books from a place of experience. So I can see why you have less fear about it and probably more wisdom going into it.
How do you guys feel about it? Do you get concerned that like maybe this is something that I'll just want to move on from in 4 years, or is reading such a deep part of who you are throughout your life that you don't feel like you'll lose the passion for it?
I mean, you can answer you answer first and then I'll answer, because it might be different. We don't have to be the same.
I am not worried I'm ever going to burn out on reading.
Right.
But I could see myself feeling like I've said all I have to say. But I think the fact that I create with Kristen just keeps it very, very fresh for me. Like, it's just always fun. It's like I'm never going to burn out on my relationship with my sister. So I don't really think we're ever going to run out of fun things to do together on the internet. But there are times with like the formula of it, like, okay, we're doing a book review and then we're doing a book rec list and then we're doing this. And it's like, it starts to feel like, you know, even at the volume that we read, how much new and fresh stuff can we possibly have to say when we're posting as frequently as we are on as many platforms as we are. But so far we haven't. So I guess we're just kind of like, stay present. Don't get fearful of the future.
Well, sometimes too, I'm curious if people want to just stick with the same thing because they like what they know. So like, I'm going to make all of my videos in this format. I get the ick so bad from structure. Like, I hate it so much. I almost want to be like, you think you know what's coming? Catch this. So like, we started doing dances because I was like, Maddie, riddle me this. What if we did a funky, trendy dance? Because I like to dance before we unbox book mail. I don't know anybody else who's doing that, but that feels like fun to me. Right. And now we've done it enough that I'm like, maybe we throw that out and we do something different. Because I love seeing variety in the content that I consume, even though I love a person and I'm very loyal to some YouTubers. Like, it's been over 5 years that there's YouTubers. I'll watch every video they put out because I like them, but they are an evolving person. So I think the way that I perceive Maddie and I moving forward and thriving would be that we just let it evolve. If people ever say like, I just miss when you guys were like, I'm like, okay, then go watch our old shit. The good news is it was recorded. Like, go watch it because this is for me. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I love that. People are evolving, and I do like throwing a change up every now and then to surprise the audience, because you start to get in a rhythm, like, and the same thing happens for me, and that part isn't like challenging to me. But there's also that feeling too when you put yourself out there, like something creatively, like, is this gonna freaking bomb? You know what I mean? So like, there's that fear of it too. So I see people why people get trapped in the rhythm of it. But I do think it's important to continue to try to come up with new ideas and just break out from the mold. So I love what you guys do. It's okay. So my favorite videos of yours are the most chaotic ones, where Kristen is making some weird sound and Maddie's probably crying over Robin Hobb, or, you know, whatever the case is.
chaos, humanity.
I mean, there is something to be said about not coming to work and always having to create a Mozart piece.
Right.
Not everything has to be a banger. And part of humanity is having videos flop and saying, okay, so it flopped. How do we feel about it?
Yeah.
We definitely wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah. Like, how do you feel like, what makes you feel like a winner at what you're doing?
I also want to ask you about failure and what
feels like failure.
Yeah, what feels like failure to you and what you do with the feeling of failure, because we basically feel like failure is key to good business. And you need to know what constitutes a failure, and then you need to know what you do with failure. So we'd love to talk to you all about that.
Tell us your thoughts.
That's the funnest part about all of this for me in terms of like content creation. It's the damage report, the autopsy after something.
Okay, I love that. The damage report. Okay.
Yeah, there are days where I'm like, I don't have the fastball today, and I recognize this. How can I just need to pause on shooting this video right now. It's not going to be what I want it. It's not going to be everything I want it to be. How can I frame this discussion in a way that's constructive? I treat it like an RPG where you're just leveling up these different skills that you have in these aspects. And that's really challenging to me. Every video presents a challenge and a learning experience, I think. And looking at it and just dissecting it and looking at every word to me is fun. That's fun to me. Figuring out something new and discovering things about myself, what I like, how I want to present. Some of my favorite videos are the ones that just didn't, I don't know, for whatever reason, resonate with some people.
And I love it so hard.
Yeah. And I love them. And I think they're mostly pretty doggone good. And maybe I could have tweaked a couple of different things, but I had fun making it. And that made my day really, really fun. So I think there's two sides to that coin, where we can love our failures and we can analyze them and come out of it with a different perspective. But yeah, just in general, I love like now that I'm on YouTube, when you look at the YouTube analytics, you're looking at how is my video being shown to people and why is it being shared? What are the comments telling me? What's the audience telling me? There's so many different pieces of information. And I love unpacking that type of stuff. That's the nerdy me going, let's figure this out kind of deal.
Can we talk YouTube for a second? Because obviously I think we started our YouTube channels at the same time. And
wait, I have to say before that, so me and Maddie had been talking about starting a YouTube for a couple of months. And then one day I came over to her house to film and she was like, Michael started his YouTube.
No, I was like, it was Smitty.
Was it Smitty?
It was Smitty.
Oh, shoot. Well,
Smitty did start it, yeah.
It's a party. I was like, oh, great, all of our friends will be there.
Smitty has this, if I can do a sidebar on Smitty real quick. I was trying to get him on Instagram, and then he just starts this YouTube. I'm like, the easiest lift was to just cross-post to Instagram. He's still not on Instagram, I don't think.
He feels like I do. We had a little sidebar when we were at Comic-Con. He and I just don't like being on Instagram. So it's hard for us to like...
That's my favorite. That's my app of choice.
Kristen loves Instagram.
I think my first exposure to Instagram, because I wasn't on it at all, was this company Now This, which is a political like rag. They were like, hey, can we use your video for Women's History Month recommendations? And I was like, sure. I didn't even think about it. Go ahead. And then they put it up and I watched it and I was horrified because I realized in that video, I didn't have any diverse authors. It was all white women. And this is something I try to keep in mind. I try to think of that when I put a list together because that's important to me. And I want my videos to reflect those values. Now, all of these people on this already political account, which is divisive enough, see this white man promoting women's history, doesn't mention a single diverse author. And I go, mother effer. And the comments comments rose, and I went in there and I engaged with them in good faith. But that's that political side of the discourse, that really fiery nonsense where if you're a man supporting women's causes, you're labeled as a feminist and it's framed as a negative.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, but like literally you can't win because you're a white man. We have decided as a
Correct.
society that you're not allowed to win. You
I'm
are
so
the bad guy.
sorry.
But next time somebody tries to talk trash about you on the internet, you are my friend. You send me in there, put me in, coach, and I will punch them in the dick holes. I am not afraid. If anybody knows you at all, they know you are the sweetest, kindest, brilliant, intelligent person.
We do need to talk about how, as full-time content creators, we deal with the negativity of interaction. But I want to talk about YouTube really quick. I do think that something about the three of us coming from short-term content, and I feel like it actually translates really well to YouTube. What do you think? Has there been a big transition for you going from short to long form, or do you think short form helps you too?
So I think short form is fun and it's valuable, but you are kind of contained, right? Because especially on Instagram, where videos over a minute 30, they don't really get pushed outside of your following. Instagram doesn't like that. The algorithm doesn't reward you for that.
Taking notes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that tip. We did not know that.
Exactly. I told you I love figuring this stuff out. So that kind of puts you in a box in terms of how you can talk about something. I really like that. Because it just allows me to kind of like flex my brain just a little bit more in creating this content without getting too like preachy and like overdrawn. And let's dissect this book for 20 minutes. Like that to me also can get very boring when you're talking about a single subject if you're not like completely on it. But I still think on YouTube, that ability that the things that we learned on short form translate, and we just extend them just a little bit more, and we just get into a little bit more depth. And we don't dwell on things too long, but we do have more expanded thoughts on this. I think the videos that are most important are actually the ones where you go against the grain on an opinion and you unpack why. And I think you can do that better on YouTube.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I feel like I have so many controversial opinions, but I literally keep them to myself because I don't want to come off like, but you're kind of inspiring me that maybe if I can find a kind way to do it, I just want to be like, sorry, I hated it.
There's a video I did on the Poppy War where I disagreed with the way that the author copied and pasted from the events of the Nanking Massacre. It didn't vibe for me. It didn't feel right. It felt like it was kind of using that to like give the book shock value. And I understand the author was trying to frame it in a way that brought attention to these events using these real life events in her book. It just felt too one-to-one. And the comments that you're going to get from that, right? You're dealing with an Asian author talking about Asian events, and I'm a white guy going, I didn't like it for these reasons, but I was too much into the history of it that it just didn't sit with me.
Maybe you have a thick skin because you're coming from doing all this stuff with sports. Because
yeah.
I'm like hearing this and my skin is crawling. I'm like, yep, actually I'll keep my opinions to myself.
No, we need to talk about this. Like, we decide to be full-time content creators. So there's a purpose behind that for us. And obviously we don't exist without an audience. So the audience has certain rights and the audience has their prerogative. So how do you navigate that, Michael? Like what do you, if anything, feel like you owe your audience? And what do you feel like they owe you? And how do you deal with it when either you feel like you violated your audience or you feel like your audience has violated you?
Yeah, and that's an interesting one because anything that we put that's public facing is open for scrutiny.
Absolutely.
And sometimes for very good reasons, sometimes for reasons we didn't even consider when we're mapping it out. Like I mentioned with that women's video, sometimes you just didn't think it through well enough and you poorly planned it out and you opened yourself up for that. And you have to be open to genuine criticism and try to learn from that. So this is my golden rule. If I'm sitting at a bar and someone were to come up and say to me out loud the words that they typed in the comments, would it be a problem? And I'm talking about, I'm going to stand up now kind of problem, right?
Can't take this sitting down. No.
Right. Yeah. I have learned in my time in social media that those people very rarely are going to get turned around and act in good faith. They're just there to yell at someone for whatever reason. They're just there to yap, troll, whatever, get a reaction, whatever the case may be. Instantly blocked. I do not need you in my life. Instantly.
Immediately, no.
Yeah. I'm just done with it. But going to like actual valid comments, I did like introductory history recommendations, and someone said, "Oh, I don't trust these books because these authors aren't from these places that you're talking about," and that's a whole discussion on its own. And some people will say, why do you primarily read American and British authors, which is a problem with the publishing industry. There's availability issues. There's cost issues for translations. I have a book that's translated. It cost me $175. I don't think people realize how hard it is to get books like that from authors from the area translated. Why didn't you include any women authors? Why are there no diverse authors in here? I may include diverse authors, but they're all male. So now I may include diverse authors that are men and women. What, they didn't come from the country that I'm talking about. Sometimes I'll go back to those people and say, you make a good point. Do you have any recommendations? Because I'm always trying to expand in that area and be better in that area. 9 times out of the 10 times, they don't have any recommendations. It just seems like they're there to complain with a very genuine complaint, but not offering any type of solution. I try to engage those in good faith and take the recommendations and whatnot. So those are weird, but I always try to engage in good faith. And if I get bad faith back, then I just move on and I don't think about it. So yeah, that's kind of like how I deal with that.
What is it that you feel like you owe your audience from your side? Like, what do you take very seriously as your responsibility?
We owe them to be honest, right? Not every book is 5 stars. We have our reasons behind it. We owe our audience our genuine feelings on something. We don't owe our audience neutrality. We don't have to appeal to everyone. I'm trying to be open as possible about other differing viewpoints, but we owe them being who we are. And I do think it's hard to keep up with all of the comments all of the time. That in itself is like a side gig if you're getting enough comments on videos over the course of a day. I do feel to a certain point, if someone is genuinely engaging with us, that if we have the time and we have something to say back of value, even if it's just a thank you, even if it's just an emoji or something like that. So I try to engage with my community as much as possible. And I think we get a lot out of that in terms of engaging with our community. It's a plus for us too. It's not like a job, but like it's a good thing. It's a good thing engaging with them.
Yeah.
I mean, I am the queen of emoji responses. I think everybody knows this. Here's my thing though, and I'm interested, me and Maddie go back and forth on this a little bit. But like, I realized very quickly in our business that Maddie was replying to like every comment. And I was like, oh my God, like, I feel bad. I don't want to leave that on Maddie and be like not pulling my weight. So I started replying to comments, and then you get big enough and you're on enough platforms that you're like, okay, so how many hours a day do I spend? And here's my thing. And I'm just going to say this for the record.
Yeah.
I follow some really awesome influencers and have for years. And if I leave a comment, I would never, ever expect them to spend their time replying to me because I want them to make me more shit or have a fulfilling life and not be sitting replying to my comment. My comment is my gift to them, not even a heart. I don't expect it at all. So I feel like we are all doing too much. And I think I would prefer, rather than them reply to my comment and everybody else's comments, I would prefer them to read another book to review for me, or to find another cozy video game to teach me about, or to decorate another room for me. That's my feeling.
I respect that though, because I do think, like you said, how much time do I actually have to devote to just responding to comments? I fully agree with you there. You have to put some limits on that. Otherwise, you're not going to get anything else done, right? But at the same time, you guys interact with your audience on Fable, with your book clubs. I'm sure you interact with your patrons or your Patreon thing, people and whatnot. There are a lot of, and this is where like we have to prioritize too, right? The lowest thing on the totem pole for me, the thing I put the least priority on, is DM requests, and I feel bad about it. Right? These people don't feel great about interacting with me socially where everyone can see it, but they just want to say, hey, I want to reach out, love your content. I could use a recommendation on this. That's the comment that usually I just don't get to, because I'm interacting with comments. I'm on Fable, interacting with 3 book clubs. I'm interacting with patrons. Something has to take a back seat. You know what I mean? So I think, Kristen, you're right Yeah, in a sense. But at the same time, I still think that community interaction is key to making those connections.
Yeah. Kristen's like, I would just rather launch 10 projects than
Yeah.
Mhm.
respond
So
to
it's
comments.
interesting though, because I don't like texting, and all my friends in real life
hate
like know
texting.
this about me. I hate texting. I would prefer a phone call. I'm like, I'll do a video for you, and then I'll meet you in Ireland. And I will
Yeah.
hang out with you, because that to me feels like true interaction. Patreon
Yeah.
is actually the very first time that I feel like these are my people.
Yeah.
And they will write me a paragraph, and I will paragraph them right the fuck back, because
Right.
they're the true book friends that we
Mm.
have. And I don't know. I don't know why it would shake me. I'd be like, why is this large influencer replying to me? That is a horrible use of their time. Like, I would be like, I don't respect you anymore.
We have to navigate this all the time because we see it different
I'm
ways.
like, I just don't respect them anymore. They're wasting their time.
Michael, I really want to be respectful of your time. Do you have 15 more minutes for a couple more questions, or do you need to go?
Let's go for it.
Okay.
What if he said no?
We can do a part 2. I just was like, I have a couple. Okay, so
Wait, no, I'm sorry. I have to go respond to some comments.
I don't respect you.
Slay. So I have a question about brand deals, and I obviously know you're probably signing NDAs and I don't want to ask details. I just want to know now that you're full-time and part of your revenue stream is doing brand deals, do you find that managing it yourself works really well? How do you kind of navigate that? I assume you probably have to say no to 10 times as many things as you say yes to, or do you see yourself outsourcing that, getting some kind of agency or management to kind of navigate your brand deals for you? Like, how are you navigating that part of your business model?
Right now, it's manageable. I would say barely. Getting back to brands, giving them your rate cards, negotiating these things, collaborating on like, what's this video going to look like, and what if we do that? It's actually it's a lot. I would love to outsource that to someone and just let me focus on the content creation side of things. There's so much junk that comes through that you have to filter through. There's so many weird practices in this because we're all trying to tie together all of these different revenue streams. It's paid partnerships. It's getting to YouTube monetization. It's, the TikTok creator fund. It's my wife is making handmade bookmarks, right? Like the merchandise from that. That's a whole different side thing. It's all of these different things that you have to put together, the Patreon, to put together at the end of the day and say, these are 15 different strands and it equals out to this, and that's where I can keep doing it because I'm made enough, and that's freaking stressful. So yeah, I wish I could outsource that.
Yeah, we go back and forth about this all the time because when we spend time responding to things that it's like we're basically saying no in the nicest way possible, that takes time. It takes time to say no. It takes time and energy to say no. And so there is a part of us that's like, we just wish we had someone to kind of do this. I do just want to say thank you publicly and give you your flowers, Michael, because if you're in an industry that you value, it behooves you to get good at the things that you are bad at. And for me, I was bad at money. And my friends like Michael who are saying like, Maddie, just because you're not good at this doesn't mean you get out of it. Like you have a responsibility with your platform if you're going to work with brands to charge a fair rate. And this is how you do it. And Michael told me exactly what number I should choose. I was like scared. I was like, that is
like, you sure about
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
So I really want to say thank you for that. Thank you for just hanging in there with me, being blunt with me, sharing very transparently, because this is private information. You do not have to tell me how you negotiate with brands, but I appreciate it so much. And so does Kristen vicariously.
Yeah, we're friends. I said, I trust Michael now. He has my seal of approval.
That's amazing, but it's important, right? That's a reality of what we're doing that we have to be good at.
Yeah, and I think that people want, at least for me, I often think things like this are made out to be a male-female thing. Like, men are just better with money. Men are better negotiators. Women undersell themselves. And I think what I learned from the experiences, it's not that I'm a woman. Obviously, Kristen is a woman too, and she is heavily financially motivated.
Yes.
Yeah.
And is good at talking about money, and she's good at selling things, and she's good
Maddie.
at negotiating.
Okay.
It just so happened she was working another job and didn't have the time, and I was the one who was doing the negotiating. And so I think it's important to not make it about a male-female thing or to get in your head about if you're a girl. Like, that was not helpful to me. For me, it's
Yeah.
like, just know yourself, your own temperament. Okay, I'm not currently motivated by money and I haven't flexed this muscle, but that doesn't mean I can't and that I can't get good at it. And now I feel very confident in it.
I don't know why people feel yucky about money, because we all need it to survive, and we all think
Totally.
it's so much fun. And you know what's so fun is, as soon as me and Maddie got serious, I was able to work more with her. So now she is winning, because her becoming more money motivated so I could leave a job made it so that we get to do more of what we love.
Yeah.
And she
Amazing.
is motivated by my time.
Yes, I'm very
Yeah.
motivated by having the quality time with her.
I just feel so good.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. I do, as we wrap up this conversation, totally, and about money, I just want to say we do still, the tricky part for us, so I'm curious how you navigate this, is Kristen and I feel very, very passionate about helping independent authors who are very motivated to be successful, to either become bestsellers or become traditionally published. So we love all indie authors, but we specifically have a passion for the indie author who's got the ambition and the chops to make it their full-time gig, to become a bestseller or become traditionally published. And so we're trying to navigate right now, what is a fair rate to charge those, because we feel so passionately about supporting them. Like,
Yeah, so what are your thoughts
what are
on
your
that?
thoughts?
If your goal is to put more independent authors on the map and help them in their journey to make a career out of this thing, that's extremely fulfilling. That shouldn't have this. I don't think that needs to have the same dollar amount attached to it as everything else does, for sure. So I would say, yeah, empower yourself to do that and figure that out, figure out the shape of what that looks like. And that's something that I want to do too. And I recognize I don't always have the time to read books by independent authors, but I've actually been talking with Bindery, and creators can have their own imprints with Bindery.
Yeah.
Where they can take manuscripts and they can publish books from authors that they've selected. So we're entering a partnership. I just started with them. We'll be launching some things. And then if things go well enough, then I'll have my own imprint, to where now it's not me charging an author for a review, for an independent author for a review. It's me publishing a previously independent author and giving them, through Bindery, all the resources they need to have a successful launch to their career. So I think we both see this kind of like the same way, as we're like, we want to attack this a little bit differently, in terms of like, we should be trying to help them if it's something that we're passionate about, and hopefully you find that balance and you have a lot of fulfilling experiences with these authors. It's really freaking cool. One of the main things, one of the reasons I got out of public facing stuff on the sports side of things, and I did love it at the time, it's just that I wanted this to help other people, younger people, and shape their careers and give them the advice they needed and give them the confidence they needed to do this thing full time. I got so much more fulfillment out of that than just having like a podcast that got 15,000 downloads. Like there's that aspect to it too. So I think that's worthy of chasing and thinking about.
I think it's what keeps us, it's like you're saying, there's lots of ways to find satisfaction in what you're doing. And it's just one of the things that I think lights us up the most when we feel, and the thing about our industry, any industry, is like, not everything's a banger. It's just not. In the indie field, in the traditionally published field, like, not everything is a banger, but we have come across a couple, and like, we've just recognized weirdly that some of the books we love the most, we just found out were indie published first. And then we found them once they were traditionally published. And so I think it gave us this like itch, like, let's go find them before they blow up. Like, because for us, I mean, it's probably the same kind of dopamine hit people get when they find like the Easter eggs in video games. It's like, to just be the early adopter, you know? And
like, our platform is a trampoline, and we just want them to jump on our trampoline and watch them find like, they jumped on our trampoline. It was great.
There's that selfish aspect to it too, right? Like, part of the benefits of like reading diversely with books that aren't marketed the way that they would be, like if it was a white author, is like, I get to expose myself to more fantastic books that not many people know about. Right? The same thing with like independent authors. Like, I'm going to find some I'm going on a treasure hunt here, and I'm finding stuff that I really enjoy, that I might not see on the shelf at my local bookstore, because I mean, we all see the same popular books and
Yes.
whatnot. I like finding stuff. It's really exciting finding something outside of that where you can go like, hey y'all, this you
is
haven't
it.
seen this.
Yeah, it is so fun. It's so much fun.
So, Michael, one of my favorite things to do at the end of every podcast is gush about what a cool person you are, but also to ask you a time machine question. So, if you were to get inside of a time machine and arrive in the future 5 years, you open the door and it's your dream life. What do you see? What are you doing? What's it like?
Oh man, everything I do is so just like centered around like just like making sure the family's good, making sure the people around me are good. So that's like, Augustus is bigger. My oldest son and my stepson are older, so maybe they're God, that's a tough one. I'm just in my own studio with all the equipment that I want. I got my space. My wife has her space for her thing, and just like everybody is just doing what they love. I don't think there's like a financial goal that you tie to that. I think it's just a happiness thing. It's just like we're doing exactly what we want to do at that time. The freedom to do that, I think, is what I would want to see. Do I have the freedom to do the things that I love, and are the people that I love having that same experience, and am I helping with them with that? So in terms of like a visual thing, that's hard to imagine, but just the feel of it, right? Just that freedom, I think would be important to me. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful, Michael. I love that.
I love it too.
Okay, because we said only 15 more minutes. This is going to be a rapid fire. Why you're so fucking awesome. Michael, you are smart. You are brilliant. You are one of those minds that is like in the right place at the right time. You are letting off shocks through the world, through your platform of information, entertainment, high vibes. You're just doing the damn thing, and you're doing it so well. You are just so fun to watch, and I don't even read history books because it's you. It's not just your information. It's who you are, and your being is brilliant in so many ways. So I'm just so glad that you're brave enough to share yourself with all of us because it's so fun to watch.
Thank you so much.
Gee, that was so sweet. I agree with everything she just said. Thank you so much for just being very transparent and willing to help people who want to help themselves and never really gatekeeping your knowledge. I really appreciate that you, in your pursuit of a healthier life for yourself, physically, emotionally, all of those things, that you just have the bravery to do that, to leave a career that was very lucrative, to leave a passion that you love just because you recognize some of it was toxic, and choose better for yourself. And as you choose better for yourself, it's so apparent how much success meets you there and how effortless it is. I think that's something I love to see for myself as an inspiration. I feel like you're very inspiring in that way, that it's like, that's what I want to do. I want to pursue what is in alignment for me and trust that I will be met there. And you just are modeling that. I'm like, it worked for Michael. You are influenced by the people you choose to be influenced by. And you are one of the people I love to be influenced by. I am totally inspired by your honesty, by your frankness, by your humor, and just by the way that you're pursuing your best life and watching it line up for you.
Well, number one, thank you so much for that. That means like the world to me. Number one, because I know you guys are so honest. And that's why your audience trusts you the way you do. But you guys are such an inspiration. You're so brave in everything that you do. You're freaking fearless, and there's such a power in that. And it just everything you guys do is just vibrating with this tremendous aura, this energy that is so easy to get behind and root for. So it's not a surprise that you guys are able to do this full time. I watch your guys' stuff and I'm constantly blown away. I'm constantly impressed, constantly just like, this is brilliant stuff. I wish I could think of things in that way, from that angle, the way you guys are able to analyze stuff. And yeah, just, I think you guys are going to be wildly successful with this. And, I love your intellectual curiosity. I love the way you look at things uniquely. You guys are brilliant, and I appreciate the heck out of you. I'm so glad we've connected and become friends over this. So yeah.
I can't wait to like fist bump you in person one of these days.
Yeah, we really do need to meet in real life. You don't have to come to Italy or Portugal with us, but maybe we just need to get our asses down to Florida.
We've only gone to Florida multiple times a year, like our whole lives. We
I
just didn't
know.
know that the Kist was there.
The
We didn't know.
And maybe it'll be like something like Comic-Con or yeah. So we got to do like one of these events like Comic-Con or some author event or something like that. I'm sure at some point that's going to come together. So I'm very excited for that day when I get to meet all the homies.
Yeah.
Butterbeer in Hogwarts. We
Yeah.
all go, all the influencers. Let's nerd out.
Go to Hogwarts together. We'd get canceled so hard. Anyways.
Yeah, that's right.
No, yeah, right.
I'm not putting that out there. Well, Michael, it's a joy to be on the full-time content creation journey with you, and it is a journey. We're all just figuring it out as we go along. So we appreciate your insights. You know, you can always hit us up. I don't know that we'll have any answers for you, but I appreciate the open dialogue.
And for everybody who stayed till the end, Michael, will you tell them again where they can find you on all the platforms?
Yep, pretty much everything at Kist, Kist, like Sunkist, at Kist Reads Books. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Patreon, all the places. It's all the same handle. So yeah, find me there.
We appreciate the consistency.
Let's do this again in 6 months because we might have some wildly different insights 6 months from now.
Hell yeah. That'll be the damage report episode.
I love it.
Oh my gosh. Well, have a great rest of your day. Read some good books for us this week, and we'll see you on the interwebs, sir.
We'll do. Thanks, Shel.